So let me say something that might surprise you. Most investors don't fail to purchase their second property because they can't afford it. They fail to purchase their second property because they structured the first one incorrectly. Now, I've seen this play out hundreds, if not thousands of times over the last 18 years as I've been helping Australians structure and purchase their investment property portfolios. It always goes the same way. They purchase their first investment property, they have a bit of growth, it's all going well, and then they hit a wall. They think banks won't lend to me anymore, I need to earn more income, and I'm stuck. The truth is, most of the time, this is completely fixable. Now, for those that don't know me, my name's David Thomas from Trilogy Funding here in Canberra, and I have spent the last nearly 2 decades helping people purchase investment properties and keep moving forward when others have told people that they have reached the end of the line. So I can tell you with absolute confidence that most investors get the first property done really easily, but then get stuck at the second and eventually give up. And it's not because they lack ambition, it's because they make a few little mistakes on the first purchase that prevents them from moving forward. So what is it? What is the big mistake that everyone makes? Pretty simple when I say it. It's that they focus so much on the first property that they forget that the second property is even going to exist later on down the track. They make the first investment property like it's a one-off decision, but it's not. It's a portfolio decision, and we need to have a look at where we're going and then plan for the future right from the start. Far too often, first-time investors, they'll just focus on the first property. Can I afford it? Will it rent? And is it in a good area? Which are all 3 very valid questions. But I've got one more question that they should ask themselves, and that is, does this property position me for the next property? And this is where it goes wrong for so many investors. Banks don't look at what you own. They look at your total assets and liabilities and pressure test that in order to determine the approval for the second property. So we need to think about this right from the very start. So what does this look like in real life? Well, here's 4 examples that I see almost every week when I chat to clients. Number 1, loans incorrectly structured, either cross-secured or very unclear what equity was used for what property, or no buffers in place. The next one is the wrong type of loan, either cash flow that's being destroyed or too long on interest only, or everything on principal and interest, but not thinking about how this might affect the next property purchase. Number 3 is poor cash flow management. Sometimes having very little correlation between incomes and expenses and the ability to pay based on income and debt servicing. And the last one is buying the wrong asset without the thought of how this is going to progress into the next property. So maybe low growth, low rental income, or no ability to leverage against that property to roll into the next deal. So what happens when people try and go for property number 2? Well, they try and make their application and then they get told no, not because they're a bad borrower, but because their current properties aren't set up to roll into the next property. Portfolio purely just not structured for growth. So here's the brutal truth about property investing. Because of our capital growth in this country over the last 6 or 7 years, it's not lack of deposits and it's not lack of equity that kills people's dreams. Majority of the time, it's all to do with debt servicing. What's holding you back is that you don't have enough equity or you don't have enough savings. Because let me tell you, everyone's got either equity or savings. Equity's been really easy to come past in the last 10 years. What holds people back is the debt servicing calculations that the lenders have. Put simply, the banks just don't think you can afford the next loan. And what's driven that? Assessment rates, living expenses, loan structure, and rental income shading. So if your first investment property isn't set up perfectly, it's going to make the second one really hard to finance. So here's the shift. Any investor who is serious about building a portfolio over a long period of time is going to begin with the end in mind. They're going to think differently and they're going to think, what is my first investment property going to do? And what does my second one look like? And they're going to try and kind of map the numbers out right from day one. So here's a few things that I suggest to clients that we think about right from day one. Number one, we structure the loans correctly and for maximum flexibility. We make sure everything is a standalone facility so we can leverage the equity when we want to based on valuations of those properties when we're ready to make that next purchase. Number two, we manage cash flow intentionally. We go interest only where we see a need to, and we preserve our servicing and our debt servicing capabilities to deploy for the next property purchase. We don't get over our heads at the first property because we won't be able to then put it together to get the next property completed. Number three, they choose lenders strategically. Not all banks are the same, not all products are the same, and not all lenders are going to support the purchase of multiple investment properties based on your income and circumstances. We need to consider this right from day one. We need to be choosy with the lender on the first property, especially if that lender is then going to roll into the second property purchase as well. And number four, they build a 2 or 3 property roadmap either in their head or on a piece of paper before they even start. They work out and they map out how things could pan out over a 3 to 5 year period if everything goes well. And then they actually design that and implement that and execute that into their property investment portfolio. So the difference is it's not intelligence, it's not income, it's execution and planning. So why am I making this YouTube video? Number one, I see this every day. But number two, I've just had this exact same experience with a client who had a good solid first property, but they'd been declined by their current bank, they'd chatted to another broker, and they still couldn't get the purchase of the second property done. We restructured their current loans, moved them lenders, reset the terms of the loan, reset the products of their loan, extracted the equity that we needed, and then got them pre-approved to make the next purchase. Now, this is the same client with the same set of circumstances, with the same income, with the same properties in the same locations, and they'd been told no twice, but yes by us. So sometimes it's not really about your circumstances, it's about talking to someone who has the knowledge, who can then pull this together to implement a strategy that's going to see you get into that second property and keep you moving forward. So if you're sitting there stuck on your first property and you're feeling that there's potentially more that could be done for your situation, look, it's not about you. It might just be about the strategies and the structures that you've currently got in place. I think having a chat to someone else, getting a fresh set of eyes put over your situation might actually help you see the wood from the trees and help you move forward with the next property. So if you want to map out your next move, please reach out. Let's set up a 15-minute chat where we can run through your current situation. A fresh set of eyes might be just the thing that you need. So if you found this useful, please like and subscribe, and I'll continue to teach you the right way how to build a property portfolio. So in the description, there's a link to my calendar below, and we can set up a time to have a 15-minute meeting.